industrial application. Any such invention must be of utility, so that it can be used, it can be applied for the need and necessities of the industries. So with these three elements, the main issue in this particular case, Taylor versus Commissioner of Patents, was that whether Dabus should be considered as an inventor or not. So what's the point of being an inventor? Because if you are considered as an inventor, if you have patents after your name, so what advantage you will have? Can somebody please tell me? If you hold multiple patents, so how does it going to help you? Anyone? All the engineers? Yes, eventually you will hold some patent. Some of you must be holding already. So how it is going to help? Just one single answer, I will feel connected. Am I audible? All right, so I will take that question then. So obviously, if we have patent for something, so it comes with obviously some monetary benefit, recognitional benefit, morality benefit, discovery benefit. So lots of things will be accompanying the person who's actually having a patent for a particular invention. So in this particular case, Mr. Taylor, Dr. Taylor, he wanted his artificial intelligence, the artificial intelligence that he created to get the inventor status and to get the patent for a program that Dabus created itself, because it's an artificial intelligence. On itself, it's created a program where, depending upon the status of the food, that software can actually identify that what temperature should be there in that particular room, so that will be best fitted for the preservation of that particular substance which is stored in that storage unit. So Mr. Taylor wanted that credit to be given to Dabus, the artificial intelligence. But the same was not granted in South Africa in 2021. He applied in many countries, because as an engineer, even if you want to apply for a patent, you have two options. You can go under some of the treaty that covers a few countries, or you will have to go a Paris Pact or something where that they will contain some of the countries. You have to apply there, and then your product will be protected. And if anybody wants to use that product, they need your permission, and you can license your product and your discovery so that you will have monetary benefits and control over it. So likewise, Mr. Taylor applied to different countries, and one of those, South Africa, actually rejected that application, saying that no, for inventorship, the person who is inventing, it must be a person, it cannot be a machine. Another application was in the Australian Federal Court, where on July 30th, 2021, Dr. Stephen Taylor managed to get the patent, and managed to get Dabus acknowledged as the inventor. And the patent status was given for Dabus and not for Dr. Stephen Taylor. And Justice Jonathan, as you can see, I have noted that inventor is underlined by either, and that language related to ownership. Patent applications and patent requests do not clearly exclude AI system from being considered as inventor. All right. Unlike in copyright, where any such person, the author, it mentions in all the laws that when it's about copyright, there must be an author. There must be a human element involved. But nowhere in any legislation right across the world that defines patent includes that the human element is actually needed. So just because of that loophole, this case created, or let's say not created, but it was a wild shot that is still in the air. The bullet has not touched any opaque yet. This triggered this whole discourse that if it is about right of the artificial intelligence to get patent, intellectual property right of a robot, intellectual property right of any such machine, the rights belonging to a machine. So what if there is a crime committed by a machine, and it is possible in the nearby future, I'm not talking about that, I'm just saying beta version of Google. Because now beta version of Google is like if you, Siri, Google. So it's also work on the same principle. There is a source code for that is working on the self-learning, machine learning. So the version that has yet been not made public, but it was announced on the online platform that now the upcoming version of Google, if you give all the permissions, you attach your credit card and stuffs like that. So you just have to say, hey, Google, get me an appointment for a dentist in my area, and your calendar and everything is there. So your phone, your artificial intelligence, it will be able to make appointment on your behalf with some of the dentist. And there could be some contractual issues and things like that. The mobile can actually make the advance payment on your behalf. It can actually set the proper time, and you can also tell your Google that, hey, Google, it must be some good reputed doctor. So what Google is going to do, it will be checking the star rating of that particular dental institute, or that, what we call that. Yeah. So that is going to be a problem like that. So if it's if it's a contractual problem, there could be multiple contractual problem like that. So just on that similar note, but later on, like recently in 2022, that particular judgment that yes, an artificial intelligence can be invented was overturned by the full federal court bench in 2022. But after overturning that particular judgment that no, we need a human element, even though in none of the laws it says that a human only can be an inventor, the court relied on the parliamentary debates while passing that particular act, that law, while making that particular law. The bench looked into the discussions of the parliament that this whole patent act was made on the incentivization scheme. Yes? Is there something? Yes. So it was made on the incentivization scheme. Well, so now, as I have discussed these three criteria with you, and just because the decision was overruled by the full federal court, but the court at the same time left this remark, and it left for the parliament, for the policy makers to come clean about such things, because law is silent about it. So it was requested from the parliament to actually come up with some kind of policy and make these and come up with these answers, that whether an artificial intelligence can actually do it or not. Can an artificial intelligence be an inventor or not? You must make those laws. As for the pre-existing laws, it cannot. But there needs to be a line of clarity when it's about artificial intelligence and its rights. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, that when we are talking about right, it is never without liability. And the main danger is about the liability. That what if an artificial intelligence is wrong? Well, I have already included these three basic elements for patent. Like if we are applying for patent, so our product needs to be novel, and there must be an inventive step, there must be industrial application, but nowhere it said that human intervention is actually needed. So either there's a problem in the law, as was pointed out by the full federal court, or as it was suggested that the policies needs to be, rechanged, amended, and to be rectified to include artificial intelligence if it is necessary, to give that incentive to the artificial intelligence, because the whole jurisprudential basis of intellectual property rights of these laws that deals with your innovation, that deals with your inventorship, is basically to give incentive to the engineers, to give incentive to the scientists, so that there is a let's say it moves in a way, array actually traces its path, so that incentivization will work as a pull for the scientists to keep donating something, keep contributing something, so that the nations can actually achieve the idea of welfare state, and to look other countries in this competing world, and they can actually have their own negotiable position. That is the whole jurisprudence of intellectual property right, to give incentive. Now, in this case, actually, where one scientist wanted its creation to have some acknowledgement, to have some credit, but he couldn't. So that actually worked just in the opposite direction, because then nobody is going to put more on artificial intelligence. Investing more in artificial intelligence, if that appreciation, if that protection cannot actually be extended to those scientists, what they actually want, when it's about the protection of their rights, when it is about the credit of their work that has been done. So, well, that's the part of, I would say, where we are talking about rights of the artificial intelligence. But one question it brings us one question, that when we are talking about rights of the artificial intelligence, so how that monetary benefit is going to help the artificial intelligence, how that money is going to help the artificial intelligence, that machine. There's no hope that we can see about. And I would love to ask that if you have any idea about that, how some money can actually help an artificial intelligence. So while you think about that question, I will give you some example for novelty, inventive step here. As you can see, that inventive step, as I mentioned, it's non-obviousness. Novelty is something that is a new art. So as you can see, I have put one example here where same structure, same function, but by putting some kind of motor, some kind of engine or electric run engine, you can see like the same function is being discharged. But this design, in your thought, what you see, is it obvious or non-obvious? Many would say it's non-obvious. Many would say no, it's obvious. But no, here what actually counts in non-obviousness, that how you have actually helped with the outcome of any such machine that you have created. All right, so that's about utility. Second, as you can see, industrial application, it must be useful. It cannot be something that is creative, that is novel. Nobody else created it before, but there is no utility of it. So that is meant by industrial application. And when we are talking about novel, so what Dabas created, it was a novel idea. So again, if we go back to that particular field, so we see that machine creating it, person creating the machine, and person wanting the machine to get credit for that and to get rights for that. If it is not entertained by the court, it actually affects the incentive factor of any scientist. And as last time I asked, just a few minutes ago, that what this right is going to do with that particular machine. So obviously there is a concept in law that we all know by the name of company. We all know by the name of funds that we generate in the name of any juristic person that is not living, but it is just a artificial person. It's a corporate personality, like a company, like a trust, like a fund. So when it's about any artificial intelligence, so the discourses are that right, if it is given to any such artificial intelligence for its patent, so whatsoever monetary benefit is being obtained from that patent will be used for the further development and maintenance of that artificial intelligence through a board of directors or board members who will be functioning in a kind of, we can say, trusteeship or something like that. So one point is clear, that the main core of intellectual property right related to patent, that was the incentive theory is now being seen compromised because that recognition is not being given to them. So is there a need, we can say, to assess the inventive step again? That is inventive step only considered to be an inventive step when it is done by a human element? Or should there some thoughts be given to redefine the criteria which are pre-existing regarding a machine to be recognized as someone, as inventor, or as the author of something beautiful that actually works for the society for further benefits of learning or for the utility purposes? And the same concept was actually acknowledged in a case 1987, where the case Solomon versus Solomon, it's a very leading case of based on common law, where they were not discussing about artificial intelligence, but at that time they were discussing about a company being a juristic person, where company will be liable for its own doings and not the directors. Company will have its own property. Company will have its own interest. So similarly, that scheme is questioned that whether it can be applied to artificial intelligence or not. All right. So currently, if we discuss into it, so is there not any requirement to define, to identify how invention or creation has been made? Do we need to have some basic guidelines for this that we are lacking? And on a very similar case, you will enjoy this case if I tell you, because when I'm talking about liability, you can answer it based on your recollection of natural laws that our mind has been actually wired with. That if you own a dog, and that dog is a rabid dog or he's out of control, and that dog bites someone, so who is going to be responsible for that dog? Obviously, the owner who owns that dog will be responsible for that. That was a question of liability in terms of animal, and it is quite simplified. But if we talk about rights in the same regard, this is very interesting case which was decided in United States of America. And this case was about a monkey versus different parties who wanted to get benefit out of a creation that one monkey created. And that case is Naruto versus Slater, decided in 2018, actually. So what actually happened in this case, there was one person who was a safari, like he used to explore different places. So he was on some wildlife visit where he had a camera with him. So what he did, he just found a monkey, and that monkey was too friendly. So that person, that explorer, gave his camera to the monkey to click a selfie. And that monkey clicked the selfie with that cameraman, the photographer, or let's say the explorer. So that camera belonged to that person. That camera belonged to that photographer or that explorer, we can say. But monkey clicked the picture, and that picture went viral. A monkey clicking his photo. And now, just because it's an artistic work, it is open to copyright. It can be copyrighted easily. Now, the photographer, actually, let's say not the photographer, because in this case, the monkey was the photographer. So that safari, he actually applied for the copyright of that picture. He claimed that the picture is his creation. He is the author of that picture. And he wanted it to be entertained. But the same was challenged by the PETA, that is People's Ethic, yes, for animal rights. So what they actually challenged, they said it's violation of rights of the monkey. Because monkey clicked the picture and the copyright must be in the name of the monkey. It's a real case. It's not some story, it's a real case. It was happening in the United States. And that the monkey needs to have the copyright. So the question was what the monkey is going to do with the copyright, like how the copyright is going to benefit the monkey. So the same perspective was actually installed as I have given you about Solomon versus Solomon and about how an artificial intelligence can use the money. So same perspective was put in by the opposition that money can actually be used for the monkey's family, for his care, for his food, for his maintenance, for his medicines and things like that. Well, but in this case, again, the court sided with the photographer, actually, the person who owned the camera, that no, this cannot be considered as a creation of the monkey, because the idea of giving the camera to monkey was of the person, and human intervention or human element is required when it is about copyright. So my point of putting this case here is that there are cases, there are legal spaces where people are actually looking into such aspects and talking about, for example, Taylor, he's a big scientist who wants his machine to have a patent right. In this case, as you can see, that animal rights NGO is actually asking for the copyright to be given to a monkey. And we have seen the attitudes of the court over the passage of time, like how few things used to be crime 10 years ago, and now how those things are being legalized. Like if you go 10 backs here, you will 10 years, 20 backs, or even if you go 30 years back, so you will see that many societal issues and right issues, for example, in India specifically, there were issues of, if I tell you, well, it's not a very, like Section 497 of Indian Penal Code, which was about adultery, was actually considered as unconstitutional. Section 377 of Indian Penal Code that actually talked about unnatural offenses, that was partially decriminalized. So my point is, over the period of time, just the moral compass keeps on adapting, keeps on changing. You see that the approach of the law also changes with time. Earlier, something which was illegal, now it is legal. For example, marijuana, you can see, like in most of the countries, that thing was banned, but now it is considered to be, because of its medicinal effects or whatever, it was now considered to be a recreational drug, and it was allowed in multiple countries, and it's sold like candies. So that is the point how law actually adapts. Now, the second part, if I will just wrap it up with the second part, that if we talk about the liability portion, so you see, when we're talking about an animal a person owns, he's directly liable for that. And there is a case for that. It is Heinz versus Harwood, decided in 1936, where there was what we call that, a horse cart, actually. Horse cart was there. It was used for public commute. And a person, the driver of the horse cart, left the horse unattended. And because of his negligence, there was some kids throwing stone there at the cart. The horse went rabid and just, it caused some harm. A policeman actually approached to control it, and that policeman suffered physical injuries. And after that, he sued for that for damages, for compensation, that this was a case of negligence and I must get compensation. And he got the compensation. Why? Because that animal, that horse, was the responsibility of the driver. So similarly, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, so you will be better knowing about it, that who is actually responsible for artificial intelligence. There is a lot of options there. The person who bought that machine, or the person who is actually using it. Shall the owner have the responsibility? Shall the owner be liable for anything wrong that artificial intelligence does? If I bought it from some shop, or the user who was actually using it at that time, or the back-end team, for example, back-end team could be, you know that better. For example, Android updates we are getting, Google updates we are getting. The back-end team is, working on it continuously and sending updates and things like that. or the inventor who invented that machine should be liable if something bad happens because of that AI, or the manufacturer of that particular system. For example, this AI, let's say Samsung was also making that AI-based system machines, and let's say Lenovo was also making that AI-based machine. For example, best example is Google. We are all using Google in different companies' handsets, right? So that is one thing. Who is going to be liable? How to actually find out? This is the blank space where the onus has to be sorted out on the side of the engineers. Who is more in control when anything like that was actually done? So there is no answer to it till now. After that, one idea I just would like to share, because whenever we are talking about any such invention, any such thing, some kind of invention. So as I would just like to share that my great grandfather used to say that there is going to be a machine that will cook food, and when the food is done, it's going to call that, hey, food is ready, hey, food is ready. And his grandson, like my father, used to sit like, what that could be? He's talking nonsense. And you know what they were talking about? Those discussions were about a pressure cooker. Nothing but a pressure cooker. So things are like that. And most of these things take its inspiration from the literature. And for that only, to prove that only, I have included this point that there are multiple like that. That in 1964, Isaac Asimov, he in his essay, what he wrote, Visit to World's Fair of 2014, 1964, talking about 2014, he imagined what technology and humanity would be like 50 years later. He just imagined, it was just a page of imagination. And whatever he imagined, what he predicted, that in 2014 there will be a wireless technology, writing that appliances of 2014 will have no electric cords. And of course, for they will be powered by long-lived batteries. There was not only the other different fictions. If you look into self-opening, auto-operated, automated doors that will open just when you go, the doors will know you and it will open up. Now we see all these things. So my point is, most of these things are indeed, all these scientific discoveries are some way or other related to fiction. And scientists are actually working in that direction. So why I mentioned this point? Because yes, there is a threat. There is a threat about it. So what is your perspective? What is your idea when it's about artificial intelligence? Shall it be made in a way that it is only limited to government? Or shall it be open to public for use? To what extent it can actually jump? Because machine learning, self-learning is something that there is no limit to it. So what is the end to that? That answer can only be given in a better way by the engineers. And depending upon that intensity, the laws can be framed, the decisions can be made. And as it most recently in 2022, as in the Commission of Patents versus Taylor decided by the full federal court in 2022 April, that these questions court have asked that we cannot answer it until and unless there is a law. And law cannot be made until and unless there is a clear picture from the side of the scientists that what their creation can actually do. So with that actually, the balance should be there. That is the purpose of this law being in existence when we are talking about intellectual property rights, to encourage the creator. At the same time, there must be a balance. If one scientist is creating something and if the same is not being acknowledged at that level, then it defeats the whole purpose of this whole discipline of law that is intellectual property right. And if those things, some of those creations were not actually copyrighted, were not actually patented, were not actually saved as industrial designs. So who would know these names? Henry, what's the full name? Henry Ford. It's his creation that is actually still surviving. Enzo, Ferrari, Peter Henlin, the watch. And by Peter Henlin, well, I must conclude. So, well, yes. So this is a research actually that is still gray, and it needs some colors to be fulfilled, some bright colors that can only be contributed from the engineers and those who are actually working specifically and interested and inclined towards artificial intelligence and machine learning process. So here's my mail ID as well. You can please take a screenshot, and if you have any such idea cooking up in your mind, so and where you can define the extent of such artificial intelligence, so we can work together. And these meetings are usually, we can say that the best part of these meetings is like we get people who share the common interest, but they have different expertise. So with this, I would like to thank you all. If there's any questions, so please you can ask. Or I've already exceeded my time, I think, but still, if there's any question, and moderator, ma'am, if you allow me, so.
Thank you, Amish. It is really interesting, informative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Amish, sir.
Thank you.
The next keynote session will be handled by Dr. Murli. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Murli, scientist at Engineering Division, ICAR, Central Institute of Fisheries and Technologies, Cochin. His research interest includes solar thermal energy conversion systems, and he has published more than 30 research papers. He has obtained 4 design registration, 5 patents. Currently, he is working for a DSC-funded research project on solar thermal energy. To add this round, he has received the Kerala State Energy Conservation Certificate 2018, Kerala State Renewable Energy Award, and also the Commendation Certificate UNERT 2018, Scotch Award and Scotch Evergreen Platinum Award, and also the Low Cost Technology Award for the research activities in the renewable energy field. We are indeed happy to have Murli sir with us today. The session is yours, sir.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you very much, madam, for the brief introduction. And first of all, let me thank our conference chair for giving me this opportunity to be here and have the session as a keynote speaker. Let me share my screen. Madam, my slides are visible?
Sir, your slides are visible. Yes.
Thank you. So, I have a talk on sustainable energy options for post-harvest fishery sector. So, before going into it, let me have a brief introduction about my institute. Ours is ICAR, Central Institute of Fisheries Technology, which is coming under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. And we have more than 110 institutes related to agriculture and allied sciences. And CAFT is one of the institutions under Fisheries Division. So in ICAR CAFT, we have 7 departments. We work on harvest and post-harvest operations in the fisheries field. In the harvest side, we develop fishing vessels, crabs, gears, bycatch reduction devices. Whereas in the post-harvest side, we work on processing, value addition, byproduct utilization, engineering equipments. We have 3 research centers at Visakhapatnam at Andhra. We have Veraval at Gujarat. We have Mumbai. Our institution is ISO 9001:2015 certified organization. We have NABL accredited referral and as well as reference laboratory for fish and fishery products. With this, I am moving to my main session, that is on sustainable energy options for fishery sector, post-harvest fishery sector. Out of the 7 divisions, engineering division is one of the section, wherein which we work on the engineering aspects of post-harvest side, such as design and development of fish processing equipments and machineries, design and development of various types of dryers, study on non-invasive sensors for assessing fish quality and freshness. We also work on energy and water use optimization techniques for the seafood industries. We are also working on natural refrigerants and all those things, how we can make sure that it reaches to the ultimate user, the stakeholder. So we also have a process for entrepreneurship development. And in connection with this, the sustainable energy options for post-harvest fishery sector, what are our interventions in the renewable energy side, especially the solar side, will be discussed under this. The one such product is called dry fish. I am only talking about the post-harvest side, in which one of the value-added product is the dry fish. In present status, the dry fish, you can see that approximately 20% of the fish catch is being dried either for the domestic consumption or for the export purpose. And mostly the catch surplus low value fishes are being dried. And you know, the dry fish as a subsistence activity as of now contributing 7.45% to the total fish export as far as 2021 is concerned. And there is a issue with the packaging. Generally the dried fishes are sold in the open conditions, either it is kept in the gunny bag or the bamboo baskets, and it is sold. A study says that if the dry fishes are properly packed with different packaging materials, especially MAP, modified atmospheric packaging technique, the export can be increased till 25%. And you know, there is a the largest dry fish market that is located in Jagi Road, dry fish market in Assam. And we mostly export to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Hong Kong, etc. So we know the importance of dry fish. It's the cheap source of nutrition like fish. You can make sure this is available across the throughout the year, and we can also ensure the price resilience against the perishability issues as well as price glut. And also it can act as a source of rural livelihood and income. And especially during the time of pandemic like COVID, we can make sure that this can act as a supplement for the fresh fish. So what is the present status, how it is being dried in most of the developing countries, especially in India? This is being dried in the open sunshine in the beaches. So why people do this? Because it is, the energy is free, renewable, it's a cheap method, but we have some issues like the drying is inferior, it is dependent upon the weather, and it is also vulnerable to dust, insects, pest and infestation. And there is a study which says that once the material is being dried in the open sun, approximately 30 to 40% of the fish that is kept for drying is lost during the production. So we have to move to some setup, the dryer, which should have the balance between the technology as well as the cost. So what we have done, we have gone into the solar drying technique. This is not very new technique. It is there from time immemorial, just like the open sun drying. But thing is that how it is being applied and where it is being used by the stakeholders, how we can make sure it is being used and people are getting the benefits. So what we have done, we have developed at CAFT different types of dryers, mainly of solar-based dryers. So solar drying means nothing but advanced form of open sun drying, in which you have a structure so that the solar energy can be concentrated and can be used. There we can have a higher temperature, lower relative humidity, so that you can improve the drying rate as well as you can reduce the moisture to your required level. So time taken for drying will be very less. So the solar dryers are basically 3 parts. You have a drying chamber, there is a solar thermal collector as well as air flow system. These are 3 essential parts. And the dryers can be classified in a different way. For example, there is a direct method, indirect method, mixed method, and hybrid method. When we say direct method, there will be a glass cover below which the product will be kept for drying. You can see it in the picture. If you say indirect method, the product will be kept in the another chamber. It is mixed, it will be kept on both sides. If it is hybrid, when the solar sunshine is not available, we have to have the backups. It can be electrical backup, LPG backup, or biomass backup. So when you are bringing in the external source of heating, it is called hybrid. So the solar dryers are classified in a n number of ways based on the type of material you are using for dryer, the type of heat energy being used for drying, whether you are using a PV system, whether you are using a thermal collector, whether you are going for energy storage. So the n number of ways it can be classified. So let me come to our interventions in the drying field. We have developed solar dryers with different backup systems. One such device is called solar dryer with electrical backup. So here we are using solar air collectors for collecting the heat. We have a drying chamber with a temperature sensor. When the material is kept for drying, the fresh air will be drawn and then it will be heated through the collectors, and the heated air will come to the drying chamber, in which the temperature will be maintained with a backup system. Otherwise, from solar energy only, the required temperature will be maintained. So we have a 20 kg dryer setup. You can see it from slides. We have a 40 kg setup also, similar way, you can see it from the slides. Then we also have a solar LPG hybrid dryer with 60 kg capacity. Here we are using a water-based collector. So we have a water stored in a tank. It is called a heat storage tank, from which the water will go to the collectors. When the water is moving in the collectors, it will be getting heated up. The heated water will come to the same tank and then store it on the top. Due to thermocline difference, the water which is hot will be on the top, the cold water will be on the bottom. The hot water will be again sent to the radiators, that is heat exchangers placed in the drying chamber. When it is going into the heat exchangers and coming back, it releases its heat to the drying chamber. You have a fan circulation so that the heat is drawn to the drying air and the material is being dried. The advantage of this type of dryer is that you have the maximum sunshine hours, especially from 12 to 2 o'clock. The maximum energy can be stored in water as a sensible heat. Whereas the air heating collectors, we have no other option. If more temperature is there, you no more require it. For example, in a drying of fish and fishery products, we maintain approximately 60 degrees Celsius. When we have a air heating collectors, if 70 degrees Celsius you are getting from collector, it may not be useful for you. You may have to remove some time. But when it comes to water, the energy can be stored even 80 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees, 90 degrees Celsius also. Then when there is no sunshine also, the stored energy can be used for running the dryer for another 2 to 3 hours. So that way the energy can be stored and then can be used. So this dryer, we have this water-based system. Then we also have a LPG backup. You can see the regular LPG cylinder with the LPG gas geyser. So this is also completely automated based on the set temperatures. When the sufficient sunshine is not there, you are not getting the sufficient temperature in the tank, the LPG gas geyser will automatically run and maintain your temperature. So that way this dryer can work continuously irrespective of the weather conditions. So this particular innovation, we have already filed the patent. Then we also developed a solar tunnel dryer. This is basically a low-cost type of dryer. We have used polythene sheet. UV stabilized polythene sheet was used for the roof, as well as we have used the CPVC pipes for the structure. This is basically a temporary structure to have a limited investment. So for them, we are not giving with the backup systems. So we have developed this, and this is connected with PV photovoltaic system for running the fans. We also have a somewhat a permanent structure in which we are using the polycarbonate sheet. We have the Kadapa tiles for the flooring, as well as we have the aluminum extrusions for the structure. So it is somewhat a permanent structure. So about 50 kg of material can be dried. Although the talk is on the fishery side, our dryers are multi-purpose in nature. Not only for fish, it can be used for agricultural commodities. Then, other than the renewable energy side, we also have some advanced dryers developed. Just I thought of introducing these dryers to you. We have an infrared dryer. You can see the infrared bulbs placed. We have a tray here down. So when the material are kept for drying, due to the infrared radiation, the materials are dried. Here, the advantage is that the drying happens through radiation. So what happens? The time taken for drying is reduced. The outer drying does not happen. The air radiation directly moves across the product so that the molecules and the water particles getting heated up. Because of that, the moisture comes to the surface immediately. So when we say a conventional drying system, it takes approximately 8 to 10 hours. In this IR dryer, you can dry it within 4 hours, 3.5 hours, it can be dried. But the only issue is that the initial investment may be a little bit higher side, but the operational cost is off, the nutritional retention is more, the color retention is good. So this is a batch type dryer. We also have a continuous type of dryer. So in this type of dryer, we have 2 conveyor belts. The material will be fed from one side, it will go to one layer and then come back in another layer. By the time the product will be dried and we can dry. We also have a pilot scale of dryer, similar dryer. We have a funding from Ministry of Food Processing Industries. So we have developed this, and we also working on microwave drying system. Similar setup, we have a hot arrested microwave drying system. We are giving this hot air assistance to remove the moisture which has come to the surface. In any type of advanced drying technique like IR or microwave, the moisture, the water particles in the food materials are coming to the surface due to vapor pressure difference, and heating is happening. Then subsequently the moisture has to be removed from the surface. So for that we require assistance from hot air. So we have a fan setup so that the moisture is thrown to the ambient conditions. Then we have done a couple of studies on our dryers at CAFT. We have very good impact publications. Then what we have done, we wanted to understand what is the energy and cost analysis compared to electrical or LPG dryer. The conventional dryers are available in electrical. When we do with solar electrical, what would be the savings? You can see it clearly from the slides. The energy consumed for in a year, you can see that approximately you require 1,800 units when we go with solar electrical. When we go with electrical alone, you may have to have more than 4,000 units. So similarly for all the dryers, we have energy savings. Then what we have done, one important aspect in drying, somebody who is working in dryer can understand this. Any experiment to be carried out in the dryers as a research purpose, you have to have different sensors. Someone should be there to assess it, take the data. Somebody has to go there inside and see that how much weight is there, how the weight loss is happening, to have different drying kinetics. You wanted to take different readings. So that was the problem we were facing. We have to have the manpower, as well as and when we open a dryer, the heat comes out. The dryer goes back to the initial temperature. Then again we may have to wait for some more time. This is the process as such. So we have developed a mobile alert system. So the entire unit will be kept inside, and we will be getting the information like what is the temperature of drying, what is the relative humidity of drying, what is the air velocity, how much weight loss is being happening. So all those things we can able to take. Also those informations are given to your mobile number. So you can see this slide, the material, when the material is kept for drying, what is the weight, moisture, including all your parameters can be kept. So we have already received copyright for this. So what are our major advantages of CAFT dryers? We have different variants. Our dryers are renewable. Rather, we can say low emission or no emission. It is easy to install. Low operational charges. Drying times are very less. Labor requirement is considerably reduced. You have issues like rehandling process like spreading, sorting, storing, which are being done in the open sun drying method is eliminated here. We have improved shelf life. We have a value addition. So you purchase more price for the product, and it can be utilized by household, small scale industry, or the fisher folks. Then the other intervention where we have the renewable energy is the refrigerated mobile fish vending kiosk. This is a setup for hygienic selling of fish. You may be seeing the fisher folks selling the fish in the roadsides. Especially if you look at the Kerala conditions here, you will find that in all the streets people are selling the fish. This is being sold in the roadsides, and you see that this is not being done hygienically. No ice is used, no proper hygienic marketing practices are being followed. So what we have developed a refrigerated fish vending kiosk in which the material can be stored under the chilled condition. You can see the picture here. We have different chambers in which the product will be kept. Then we also have a descaling machine to remove the scales of the fish. So it can be put it in a shop. Anybody comes, we have a signboard also, so that they can see what type of fish I am selling. Also, they can take the fish, it will be descaled, then it can be properly cut and it can be cleaned and then given to the consumer. So it's an hygienic practice. this particular device also, we have an issue with power. So what we have done, we wanted to integrate with the solar system. We have already developed 2 prototypes with solar PV, and the testing is going on. So we also working on solar powered aqua feed dispensing system. When we see the aquaculture farms, we have a requirement of feed dispensing system. Otherwise, somebody has to be there and then feed it. And at frequent interval, it has to be fed. So what we have done, we have developed a system with solar powered PV system, in which the unit can go inside directly. We have the Arduino board in this, and we have different settings, algorithm is written. It will go there and feed it. Approximately to feed 1 kg of, the feed has to be fed 1 kg. It can be dispensed in 6 meter distance within 1 minute. So in addition to these solar related things, we are also working on the equipments, as I told initially in the first slides. We have a descaling machines, the removal of scales. This is a hand operated device. About 3 kg of fish can be fed inside. It can be slowly rotated so that all the scales will be removed. This will be helpful when you have a small size of fishes in large numbers. It is a tedious job, right? So one has to take there and do all the things. It can be done in this system. Then we have a similar setup with motorized version. We can have it here around 7 kg of fish. Then we have one more variable speed descaling machine. In addition to that, we have a couple of small interventions in the refrigeration side. There is a Peltier cooler device. We have a Peltier module. A small 5 liters capacity Peltier module cooler device was developed here. Then we are also working on live fish transportation system. So when we wanted to sell the fish in a live condition, it fetches more price. But there is no standard devices available in India as of now. So we are working on it. We have a project from Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. We have already have a design registration filed for the device has been developed. We also filed a patent for our latest developments in this. Then we are also working on a device for assessing the freshness of fish. If you go to a market, you will have a device so that you should be able to take a picture from the device. Once you take the picture, you will be getting the information like the fish was stored for how many days, and it can be stored for how long in the same iced condition. Whether it is fresh or not, all those details will be we will be getting in the device. And we are also working on mobile application now. So in future, you may have to take only the mobile to the fish market, just to take a picture of the fish you want to purchase, then immediately you will be getting the results. Then we are also working on energy and water use optimization in the seafood industries. You know, now the lot of energy is being used in the seafood industry, energy and water. And we know the impact of greenhouse gas emissions, global warming potential. So what we have done, we have developed a hardware software system in which on a real-time basis, you will be coming to know what type of products are being processed. Is there any variation from the benchmark levels in the system? So anything variation is there, an alarm will be sent to the manager or the inspector, whoever is looking after the production system. So such work also we have carried out. Then we are also working on natural refrigeration systems. Due to the global warming potential, ozone layer depletion, the HFCs and the CFCs has to be phased out. The government of India has already taken the initiative in this, and there is only way forward is that we have to go for natural refrigerants like ammonia and CO2, which has a potential to mitigate global warming. Also, it can reduce the temperature even to minus 40 degrees Celsius, which required for deep freezing applications, especially in the seafood process. So these are our engineering interventions. Some are with sustainable sources. Then, as I told you, how our interventions are being taken to the stakeholders. We have a process called the section called AB, Agribusiness Incubation Center. We have a setup. When anybody clients comes to us, we show all the items. We demonstrate them. Then we train them. Then we provide detailed project reports. We provide them the facility to use. Then subsequently we have a empaneled agencies. Whatever the equipments I have listed, all the equipments are being fabricated by the outside agency as per CAFT design and being given to the stakeholders. Then we also help them in testing, commissioning and marketing their business. So we give detailed project reports. We have empaneled manufacturing agencies, and we have supplied our solar dryers in different parts of the country. So one such setup is there at Impal, another setup at Kerala, another setup. This is a solar tunnel dryer. This is also a tunnel dryer and a 20 kg electrical dryer. We conduct couple of training demonstration programs. We do consultancy services in the solar related field. We have different success stories in connection with the dryers, the solar, the fish vending kiosk, the descaling machines. This you can see the different brands has been promoted by CAFT. Using the solar dryers developed by CAFT. The people have come here, they incubated from CAFT and they have gone back and started their own business with their own brands and the FSI license with their GST, all those things. So these are the brands are available now in the market. Some of the clients' feedback. Thank you. With this, I am ending my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Nice insights, sir, about what you're doing at your ICAR. We also have a KVK inside our institute, and some of our children are working on similar projects, similar agriculture-based projects, and we also have a setup here for a smaller setup for drying fish with which is inbuilt with a solar panel. So we are also working on, and your project really helped us to gain a little bit of knowledge, and maybe if we have an opportunity to visit your institute, our children will be much more benefited. So we'll try to connect we'll try to connect you in future also, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Next we have Dr. Anis Rani Delphia, scientist at ACAR, for the next keynote address. So let me give a brief introduction about her. An agricultural research scientist with experience in the field of post-harvest fisheries sector. She holds a BTech degree in food process engineering and master's in agricultural processing and food engineering, and also a PhD in agricultural processing and food engineering. Her publications include more than 35 research papers, 16 popular articles, and 4 books, and an extension booklet. To keep it simple, Dr. Anis Rani Delphia is a hardworking, spirited person having expertise in the area of agricultural processing and food engineering. We are indeed to have happy to have you as a keynote speaker, ma'am. And thank you for accepting our invitation and taken efforts to present.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you for the introduction. So whether my slides are visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, your slides are visible.
Okay. So good afternoon, one and all. So first of all, I am happy to participate in this second international conference, SMART 2023, and I would like to thank the organizing committee members for the opportunity provided to me as a keynote speaker, and thank you. And before going into the presentation, I would like to say that. So just now, my colleague Dr. S. Murali has completed, and he has explained in detail about our work, and we are mainly focusing on the solar-based devices or systems for the post-harvest equipment design. So we are mainly focusing on the fishery sector, post-harvest fishery sector, and we are designing and we are in the field of design and fabrication of post-harvest equipment, and mostly we are focusing on the solar energy. So in connection with that, I want to discuss about the systems which are used for the solar energy collection and storage. So I will go into my topic, that is on nanomaterials for enhanced solar thermal energy collection and storage. So we all know that in recent years, we all are much interested about the usage of sustainable and renewable energy sources or renewable energy source based devices for all our applications. This is mainly because of the scarcity of the fossil fuel and other conventional based energy sources. So we are mainly focusing on the usage of the non-conventional energy sources such as solar, wind, geothermal, and etc. So among the non-conventional energy sources, solar energy is the main source because it is freely available in abundance and it is environment friendly also. So these solar energy based devices are more popular. So these all devices will have a system or we can say that a part solar thermal collector. So it is the heart of the solar based systems. So the solar thermal collectors, what it will do, it will receive the solar radiation and it will convert the received solar radiation into a thermal energy, and the converted thermal energy will be transferred to the circulating fluid or circulating medium, that may be water or air or oil. So that will be used for our heating applications. So this solar thermal energy received from the solar radiation and it is converted into thermal energy. That collected thermal energy can be used in two formats. So either it can be used immediately after during the collection itself. It will have the it will be its temperature, circulating fluid temperature will be increased. That will be immediately used for our application like heating or hot water preparation. So or else it has to be used, it has to be stored in the thermal energy storage devices for the future purpose or whenever there is an energy demand. So these two options are there. So why I have taken these two things is that, so we are mainly working on the solar based systems which is having collectors and thermal energy storage systems also. So I thought a detailed explanation or recent advancements in this area will be helpful to know about our work. So I have taken these two areas. So first of all, we'll see that solar thermal collectors, we can have a broad classification there, non-concentrating collectors and concentrating collectors. So I would like to give emphasis on the non-concentrating collectors. So because concentrating collectors also many types are there and it is having it is more efficient than the non-concentrating collectors, even though, but I want to discuss about the non-concentrating based collectors. So among the non-concentrating collectors also we are having two types. So evacuated tube collectors and flat plate collectors. So evacuated tube collector means it will be having the outer tubes will be there, so that will be a concentric tube. The gap between that two tubes will be a vacuum. So the main use of that is it will be act as an insulating material, so to avoid the heat loss from the system collector. So it will have the absorber plate in the center, and through that absorber plate pipelines will be there for the flow of air or water. So this is about the evacuated tube collector. Among these two also, I want to discuss more about the flat plate collector, because I am in our research work we are mainly focusing, we are using that flat plate collectors only. So these collectors are applicable for the temperature range of 50 to 90 degrees Celsius. And we'll see in detail about these flat plate collectors. Okay, this is the common type which is being used for many purposes, and it can be easily fabricated and low cost, with the low cost, and it has a simple structure, so it can be fabricated easily. So you can see the structure of the solar flat plate collector. So it will be having a top glass, we can call it as glazing. So it is made up of glass, transparent glass, and below that some air gap will be provided for the circulation of air from one side to another side, and below that absorber plate will be there. These absorber plates are mostly coated with black paint in order to ensure the maximum absorption of the solar radiation and low emission of the radiation. So below that it should be, means FPC will be covered with the insulation material to avoid the heat losses to the environment. So you can see here, so glazing, over the glazing temperature will be 40 degrees Celsius, and when it is come to the, means when we are taking the temperature of the absorber plate, it will be around 80 degrees Celsius. So our heating is, air or water heating is taking place in this manner. Okay, even though if it is being used for various applications, it is having the drawback so of low thermal efficiency and the low convective heat transfer coefficient between the absorber plate and the circulating fluid. So to
Excuse me,
avoid
ma'am.
to
Ma'am, your presentation, yeah, fine, correct. Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. The slides weren't changing, so I thought maybe I'll give you a
okay.
moment. Thank you.
Whether now it is getting changed, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Okay. So this flat plate collector efficiency can be improved by following these methods. So we can improve the optical absorbance characteristics of the absorber plate material by adding some external coating. By applying any coating or anything, we can improve the efficiency of the collector, and we can have number of glass covers. I told about the glass cover, that is glazing. So we can increase the number of glass covers so that we can avoid the heat loss from the top surface of the collector. And some mini or micro channel pipelines can be provided for the fluid flow. By that way also we could able to increase the efficiency. So creating turbulence in the fluid flow, so we can place some baffles or some obstacles we can provide. So by that way also we can increase the contact time between the air and solar radiation, so that we can increase the efficiency. So another option is that nano composite or nano fluids can be used for the as a transferring medium in case of FPC. So that also will help. And phase changing materials also we can use, and different absorber plate designs can be modified. So that I will explain in detail in the next slide. And modifications of insulation material also can be done to avoid the maximum heat loss. And FPC flat plate collectors can be provided with some energy storage systems also to increase the efficiency. So broadly, flat plate collectors can be classified based on the heating mechanism, means heating fluid which we use. So air based heaters and liquid based heaters, and I want to focus about the air based heaters. So liquid based heaters efficiency also can be improved by changing the fluid type and fluid channel and fluid flow, you can see. And mainly air heaters efficiency can be improved by changing the cover design. So glazing, single glazing, double glazing or unglazed materials also we can use. And based on the fluid flow, by modifying the fluid flow also, we could able to achieve the maximum efficiency. One pass, double pass and multi-pass and cross pass fluid flow also possible. And absorber design also can be changed. Absorber plate, that black painted absorber plate we are using, that one can be modified with corrugated arrangements or wheel-grooved arrangements, or external fins can be provided to increase the heat transfer rate and contact surface. And metal or any matrix types can be used, placed over the absorber plate. And porous media also can be used for the enhancement of the efficiency in FPCs. So we all know that nanotechnology, it is a evergreen field, and the same nanotechnology, nanoparticle or nano size materials can be applied in the solar collector devices also to increase its efficiency. So a broad classification is that nanomaterials can be classified in 3 different categories: organics, inorganics and hybrid. So under organics we are having fluorine nanotube and nanofibers, and under inorganic we are having metals, metal oxides and quantum dots, etc. So hybrid materials also can be used for the energy enhancement of the FPCs. So I want to focus about the nanomaterials which are commonly used or which are helpful to improve the efficiency are listed down. So alloy materials also can be used. So these nano materials, it can be either it can be coated over the absorber plate, or it can be mixed with some already we discussed the matrix material or porous media. We can add with that, we can mix with that, and we can keep over the absorber plate to enhance the efficiency. Otherwise it can be applied as a coating, thin coating over the absorber plate. So spectral selective coatings are also available to enhance the efficiency. So in that case, it will be added with some base fluid. So mostly we can take it as a black paint, because already black paint will have the more absorption, and it by adding the nanoparticle into it will further enhance the absorption efficiency. So black paint, the nanomaterials can be added into that, and it can be applied over the absorber plate. So nanomaterial can be used in the FPCs in 3 different forms. First one, nanofluid, nanocomposite, and nanocoatings. As a nanocoating we can use. So nanofluid means nanoparticles or nanosized materials will be mixed with any base fluid. So that fluid will be circulating through the collectors, flat plate collectors, for the thermal energy absorption. So second one is the nanocomposite material. In this case, nanoparticles will be mixed with any solid matrix or any, especially for example, I can say PCM, phase change materials are available. So it can be mixed with the phase change materials to improve the efficiency. And nanocoatings, as we discussed, nanoparticles will be mixed with some basic material, basic medium, and it will be applied over the observer medium. So among the 3 different forms, nanocoatings are the most common type, which will enhance the efficiency of the absorber plate of FPC. So among in nanomaterial itself, we can have again subclassification that carbon-based material, metal oxide-based, and non-metal materials can also be used. So I want to discuss about the carbon-based material, because my research work is related to this, the carbon-based material. So I want to discuss more about the carbon-based material. Application of carbon-based material for the energy enhancement, thermal energy efficiency enhancement of FPCs. So under that, carbon nanotubes, carbon nanodots, carbon nano fiber, and graphene-based materials, carbon black can be used. So why carbon? Apart from this metal or other metal oxide, non-metal materials, this carbon will be a completely organic based material. So it is less reactive with the other material or air or other medium, and it is less toxic also compared to the other nanoparticles or metal based materials. It is less toxic also, and also it has the stable characteristics with the environment, and whenever it is being allowed for some reaction, it can maintain its stable characteristics, and it is having high thermal conductivity also compared to the other materials, and it is having the broad absorption spectrum, so that it can absorb more solar energy than the other materials, and it is the darkest material. So it is having the high capacity of absorbing the incident light, so that our interest is on carbon based nanomaterials for the FPCs. So with the base of all these points, I have conducted a study for the energy means thermal efficiency improvement of the flat plate collector using the carbon nanodots. With these carbon nanodots were synthesized from the fish scales, and why? Because this is fish scale as a waste. From waste material we want to prepare the carbon nanodots, so it will be a cheaper material, and it is of purely organic, and it is less toxic also compared to the other materials, other metal based materials. So these carbon nanodots, in my study, I have mixed this carbon nanodots with the black paint, and that black paint was coated over the absorber plate to enhance the efficiency. And we have conducted the experimental trials with the comparison of the black painted surface, and we found that it was there was a improvement of 20%. More than that of black painted absorber surface was observed in case of carbon nanodots coated absorber plate. So this carbon nanodot based the structure can be fixed with any of our dryers or any solar dryers, so that it can be operated with the maximum efficiency. And coming to the second part, so far we have discussed about the direct usage using the flat plate collectors. Next part is that thermal energy which we are getting from the solar radiation can be stored, so in form of thermal energy storage systems, so that systems can recover the heat, and it can hold the heat and it can release whenever it is needed. So by providing this, by incorporating this thermal energy storage with our already existing solar based systems, we can improve the performance of the systems. So this test materials are it can absorb the heat and it can store the thermal energy during the charging process, and it can release the thermal energy during the discharging process. So common thermal energy storage mediums are fluid, any fluid or phase change materials are commonly used. So this both fluid and phase change materials will have the low thermal conductivity. Because of that, it leads to the slow charging and discharging rate. So this can be improved by adding some other means, like we can discuss about the enhancement methods in the next slide. So how we can enhance the how we can avoid the low thermal conductivity of this test waste materials, storage materials which are used in test system. So we can use extended surfaces or fins inside the test storage structure, so that we can enhance the thermal conductivity, and by that way we can improve the efficiency. And bubble agitation also can be given. Metal rings or metal matrix can be placed inside the test storage system, and this storage medium we discussed, the PCM material or any fluid, it can be added with nano particles also, as well as this means PCM materials can be provided as an encapsulated material in order to enhance the thermal conductivity and other characteristics also. So nanomaterials which will be base nanomaterials will be added to the PCM material or any solid matrix which we want to use in test medium. It can be added into that, and so that we can improve the efficiency. And when the nanomaterials are added to the fluid material, we can already we have discussed, so we can call it as nanofluid. And nanoparticles, if you are adding with PCM material, we can call it as nanocomposites. So about the nanocomposites only I want to discuss, so that I will do in later slides. And this thermal conductivity of the PCM material can be improved using the means when we are using a PCM as a nanocomposite PCM, we can improve the thermal conductivity. And specific nanomaterials which are used in the test systems are listed here: aluminum, copper, silver, gold, and etc. And I want to focus on the carbon-based nanomaterials for the nanocomposite preparation: carbon nanofiber, carbon nanotubes, and graphene nanoparticles, graphene oxide, and expanded graphite nanoparticles also. So this whenever we are adding this nano-based materials inside the solid matrix, it enhances the efficiency of thermal conductivity. That enhancement is mainly depends on the nanoparticle type and other characteristics, dimension and its own characteristics of the nanoparticles. And carbon-based nanostructures are more suitable for the enhancement of the energy storage because it has the high aspect ratio feature. So because of this it can give more thermal conductivity enhancements than the other materials. So my interest is about carbon-based materials. And next part, nanomaterials we have discussed, and another in a nanocomposite, two things are there: nanoparticles and PCM. So next we have to discuss about the phase change materials. So it is phase change materials. It can store and release the energy at the required time, or whenever it is getting the phase transformation, it can release the energy to the medium environment. So these PCMs are the promising materials in the thermal energy storage system. So PCM also some classifications are there, and under solid liquid based PCMs. Solid liquid means whenever phase transition is taking place, it will be converted into liquid. So it is having three different classification: organic PCM, inorganic PCM, and eutectic PCM. So among the three also, I want to tell about the organic based PCMs. So since it is organic based, without no effect to environment, it can be used, and it is commonly being used for the thermal energy storage systems also. But these PCMs are mainly organic based PCMs are having very low thermal conductivity. So to improve that, we can add the nanoparticle in that one. So by whenever we are incorporating nanoparticle into the PCMs, it's the thermal, physical, chemical, and other electrical parameters or properties can be modified. By that way, we can improve the efficiency. So highest thermal conductivity of PCM can be achieved using the various combination of nanoparticles, and in the same time nanoparticle amount also plays a major role. So that composition ratio we have to optimize to achieve the maximum thermal efficiency. And coming to the nanocomposite PCM, it is the direct method to increase the thermal conductivity of the PCM, any type of PCM materials. So any type of nanoparticle we can take, and it can be added with any type of PCM for the enhancement. And this nanocomposite preparation methods are as blending method, encapsulation, and impregnation methods. Blending means simply some ratio of material will be taken and it will be mixed with the PCM material, and it will be used for the thermal energy storage, energy efficient thermal energy storage systems. And encapsulation means we will be having the core material and wall material combinations, and we will go for the micro or nano encapsulations. And impregnation means it will be directly nanoparticles, and our PCM will be there. PCM will have some void space or some chemical vacancy. So whatever nanoparticles we are doing the impregnation will go and attach with that void space, and it will create a physical bond between the physical bond with the PCM, so that this impregnation method is commonly used for the nanocomposite preparation. And here also carbon-based nanomaterials will be very much helpful, and development of the carbon-based nanomaterial with PCM, addition of the carbon-based nanomaterial with a PCM can help to increase the thermal efficiency of the tests, and many reports have been published on this area, and this is the best combination to achieve the maximum thermal conductivity and the efficiency in the test storage. And so with all these points, we are doing the research work on the carbon-based nanomaterials or nano coatings for our FPC as well as the thermal energy storage systems, and we are planning for some future studies also. So that so I want to discuss about this thing. So already I have done, and finally as a conclusion I can say that carbon-based nanomaterials, it is the optimal material for the thermal energy storage system as well as the nano coatings, nano-based coatings, and it can be mainly used for the photothermal conversion process, and solar thermal collectors can be added with this carbon-based materials for the energy efficiency, or we can say that the enhanced collection efficiency of the solar radiation. And this carbon-based either nanocomposite and nano coatings are it will be helpful to improve the overall efficiency of the thermal system, because these FPCs or any tests can be added with any type of dryer or any other heating, or any devices which require heating can be utilized this combinations, nano coatings and nano composites, carbon based nano composites. So overall system efficiency can be increased by the usage of these combinations, and there is a need to develop the simple and less time consumption process for the carbon nano material production also. So in that area also we are working, and the available carbon nano or carbon source nanoparticle preparation methods are for the small scale units, and large scale production methods has to be developed, and further examination is required to know the dispersion and settling of nanoparticles in the PCM. Whenever we are mixing the PCM with the solid matrix or PCM material, its reaction and dispersion, whenever this PCM material is getting converted from solid to liquid stage, what will be the dispersion rate, or whether it is getting settled or properly whether it is maintaining a suspended state. That type of studies are also in need. So we are doing work on in this area, and carbon-based material will be a effective source to achieve the maximum efficiency in case of both the things. So thank you So we are working on this carbon-based source, exploration of the carbon-based source for the solar radiation energy storage and collection efficiency increment. So you can also think the future studies in this area.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm happy to introduce the next keynote speaker, Mr. Adam Gilchrist. He holds a master's in aeronautical engineering and also an MBA in human resources. Starting his career as an assistant professor, his area of interest includes data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and automation. Simple in nature and dedicated to his profile are his key points.
வீடியோ ப்ளே பண்ணோம்ல ஸ்க்ரீன் ஷேர் தானே கொடுக்கணும் ப்ரெசென்ட் தானே கொடுக்கணும் என்டையர் ஸ்க்ரீன் தானே அது வந்து நான் உள்ள போய் ஓப்பன் பண்ணி கனெக்ட் ஆகிடுச்சு அதெல்லாம் அந்த இது இதாக இருக்குது போக சரி போயிட்டு போட்டு இவ்வளோ முடியாச்சு வந்துடும்
Hello all, this is Adam. Thanks for inviting me to this conference which deals with the advancement in renewable technologies. When we talk about advancement, it's all about artificial intelligence, and I want, without wasting much of my time, since I was given just 5 to 10 minutes, let's deal with the AI in the engineering applications. It's just an introduction about myself, not only myself, and the project's case results that I deal personally in the world of AI. This is just an introduction, I think, which is already been shared. So let's forward to the next slides. What I want to share before I start, like I would say, like technology has solutions for every questions. So now we are dealing with how can we face the renewable energy in the future, right? So what I would suggest, I'm very sure is technology has solution for even these questions also. This is a real story. This guy, his name's Richard and he's from Kenya. I would like to, it's a big story, so I don't want to spend all the time in that thing. I would suggest, I would recommend, I would request like search for his name, and his name is Richard and he's from Kenya, and you can see how does he solve his problem that he faced using a small technology what he had. You can see behind there was been the lion and tiger has been died. He doesn't do anything dramatic like what we see in the cinemas, but he did some small idea. This is his real handwritten diagram what he made and why he made. I would recommend again, like his name is Richard. If you type it like Richard from Kenya, then the story will pop up. Just have a look through to have a confirmation that technology has solution for everything. And this is just a basic structure of how AI can work actually. We will get the data and we'll make the data into structured one and put it in our algorithm. And just about advancement, it's all about artificial intelligence. And I want, without wasting much of my time, since I was given just 5 to 10 minutes, let's deal with the AI in the engineering applications. Just an introduction about myself, not only myself, and the project's case results that I deal personally in the world of AI. This is just an introduction, I think, which is already been shared. So let's forward to the next slides. What I want to share before I start, like I would say, like technology has solutions for every questions. So now we are dealing with how can we face the renewable energy in the future, right? So what I would suggest, I'm very sure is technology has solution for even these questions also. This is a real story. This guy is named Richard and he's from Kenya. I would like to, it's a big story, so I don't want to spend all the time in that thing. I would suggest, I would recommend, I would request like search for his name, and he's from his name is Richard and he's from Kenya. And you can see how does he solve his problem that he faced using a small technology what he had. You can see behind there was been the lion and tiger has been died. He doesn't do anything dramatic like what we see in the cinemas, but he did some small idea. This is his real hand built, handwritten diagram what he made and why he made. I would recommend again, like his name is Richard. If you type it like Richard from Kenya, then the story will pop up. Just have a look through to have a confirmation that technology has solution for everything. And this is just basic structure of how AI can works actually. We will get the data and we'll make the data into structured one and put it in our algorithm and just deploy. Deploying means launching into that. And you may question like, this is not computer science. We are not from computer science, or we are not from artificial intelligence background. How can we do? Everything is very common in here. That's what the beauty of AI actually. We can apply it to any engineering applications. No matter whatever engineering background or profile you're coming from. As you know, even I am from aerospace background. It's very easy to adapt these things. So when we talk about like sustainable land usage of how artificial intelligence can do, as you know, if you can predict the climatic conditions or whatever thing, the emission of pollution, whatever thing, AI comes in very handy thing. How we can gather the data what we had in the past, like the big data we used to call as big data, and process those data into one single forum and just deploy into our algorithm what we built. Algorithm means don't think like thousands of coding. There are, we used to call as pre-built library. Those libraries can do the work for us. We just build the requirements and the projects results that I deal personally in the world of. This is just I think it's already been shared. So let's forward to the. I want to share before I start. Like I would say, like technology has solutions for every questions. So now we are dealing with how can we face the renewable energy in the future, right? So what I would suggest, I'm very sure is technology has solution for even these questions also. This is a real story. This guy is named Richard and he's from Kenya. I would like to, it's a big story, so I don't want to spend all the time in that thing. I would suggest, I would recommend, I would request like like search for his name, and his name is Richard and from Kenya. And you can see how does he solve his problem that he faced using the small technology what he had. You can see behind there was been the lion and tiger has been died. He doesn't do any dramatic like what in the cinema. He did some small ideas, real hand built, handwritten diagram what made, why he made. I would recommend again, like his name is Richard. If you type it like Richard from Kenya, then the story will pop. Have a look through to have a confirmation that technology has solution for everything. And this is just basic structure of how AI can works actually. We will get the data and we make the data into structure and put it in algorithm and just deploy. Deploying means launching into that. And you may like, this is not computer science. We are not from computer science, or we are not from artificial intelligence background. How can we do? Everything is very common in here. The beauty of actually we can apply to any engineering application. you no matter whatever engineering background or you're coming from, as you know, even I am from aerospace background, it's very easy to adapt these things. So when we talk about like sustainable land usage of how artificial intelligence can do, as you know, if you can predict the climatic conditions or whatever thing, the emission of pollution or whatever thing,
Participants,
AI
we regret
comes
for
in very
the
handy thing. How we can
issue
gather the
in the
data
video,
what we
and
had in the
the
past,
presentation
like
session will
the
start
history
at 2
data,
p.m.
process
after the
those
lunch.
data
Okay, so I
into
kindly
one
request all
single
of you
forum and just deploy
to
into an
join in
algorithm
the
what we built.
link sent you
Algorithm means
through
don't think
mail.
like thousands of coding.
So I
There are,
repeat, the
we used to call as
presentation will start at
pre-built
2 p.m.
libraries.
sharp.
Those libraries can do for us.
Participants,
We
please
just
join
build
through the
the
link sent to you
requirements
in
needed
mail.
in this,
Okay?
and that put the
And my special thanks to
predict in the future
Nafina
based on the
ma'am.
AI model. That's what it does.
Thank you
So
so
when we
much,
deals
and
with
I
the
also
renewable
thank all of
energies
you for
to safeguard
being
those things,
patiently present
it's
throughout the
about
inaugural
predicting things. AI
session. I
is the
thank all
king
keynote
of
speakers
predicting the
also.
future
Thank you,
actually.
everyone.
So if
So
we
we'll
can
join
adapt
again, meet
these
again at
things,
2
whatever
p.m.
thing, even in the field of agriculture,
For
to
the
finding
presentation. Thank you
finding the
all.
disease which is happening in the farms, how to safeguard the farmers, everything, in everything, the smart farming thing, AI comes handy. And without deals with electronic surrounding of this renewable energy, I think like many others would have talked much about electronic vehicles in this conference, I would pretty sure. But let me tell you how AI is actually contribute in terms of like in electronic vehicles. As you know, Elon Musk and doing very much like the electronic vehicles is the boom these days actually. Just like it's like thriving like anything actually, along with ChatGPT these days. So let how AI actually, what AI actually does, like autonomous driving means how in electronic there's driving modes. How this autonomous driving is possible? Can you imagine like without driver the there are many tests happening already, even in Korea, like the taxis are going like without human. The testings has been, Hyundai has been made a test like without a driver, the on the lane, on the main roads, I mean, because the cars has been traveling, which is a main contributor of autonomous driving in electric vehicle also. That's what Tesla has been adapting actually. So how, what is this actually? This is AI we used to call as computer. The computer is like just providing visions to the computer. How does we make all the data, these kind of data, like these kind of images, right? Like these kind of millions of images we used to gather and put it in the AI model, and that will know. For example, you can see the bounding boxes, right? These kind of boxes like car, the traffic lights, the bicycles, the trucks, kind of images, like thousands of images will put together into the model, and that will learn the model will learn, the AI model will learn. It's like this is bicycle, this is human, this is car, like in that. And also the routes also, like you can see the this the vehicle, the model in the vehicle can see this like this actually, exactly like this is how it happens.
ஏன் அது
It's like
ஓப்பன் என்ன ஆகும் தெரியல.
it is there's a bus again, like in first, which is like 2 meters, and there is a going, everything has been capitalized as visionized by the AI model. That's why it is called as like open computer vision, which providing the to the machine by training the multiple, like the billions of images into the model. Like just imagine like we are telling our newborn babies like this A, this is B, this is C, like we used to turn it many times, right? Likewise, thousands of data will be telling through the images, like this is car, this is bus, and how to see the lanes, like lane 1, lane 2, lane 3, and everything can fetched into the system, and how autonomous come. That's how AI can contribute. Because why I'm talking is this is straight away directly linkaging with the electrical vehicle, which is coming into the market, which has been which will be the actually. So in that case, AI can contribute not only in the mechanical thing, in the aerospace thing, everything. AI can play a very role in terms of safeguarding the renewable resources also. I think that's the time I want to share. I could share like multiple domains, as you can see in the um, what should I say, multiple domains, like even the space exploration, healthcare, recommendation system, which is again everything AI comes in handy, which is directly deals with the advancement of sustainable development as well as renewable energy. So you can see even in the healthcare, this is my personal projects which is directly deals with the I deals with the AI. This is like using drones. We can see how can drones become handy. We can capture images. What we can do with the images. Images can helps us to predict the future, and how we can why we can need to predict the future by predicting the future and safeguard the conditions and the emission of pollution. What we
Participants,
can get
thus
50
Murli
years
sir,
stages continues, what we can face and how we can face, how we can deal.
Murli sir,
The beauty of the AI is, along with it, I would like to say, it's not about predicting the future. AI can predict like how the solution can be made for this kind of situation, this kind of scenario. So like those kind of multiple case scenario we built, not we can predict the scenario, but we can frame the solution with AI. That's what I want to say. These are the I can deal with, since I'm from aerospace background, put AI like drone as well as like healthcare and whatever system. These are the greenhouse images in which we deal. A small robot which can predict, like classify whether it's a fruit or it is ripe fruit or unripe fruit, like in that. So these kind of things, many things comes together irrespective of domain background. That's what AI does actually. For example, you can see this is a real-time project that I did. Like we can predict like the ripe strawberry and we can be hand farmers in which like we used to see tons of fruit, ripe and unripe fruits has been wasted going into wastages. That's caused the unimaginable cost of death as well as the solution into the exit. So if we can figure it out, like when it is ripe or unripe, those things, if we can methodologically in AI into farming, then everything will be fine. That's what the world believes. You can see UR means unripe. You can see even these things. It's not just based on color. Prediction is not based on color. It's our multiple features. It's the texture of the fruit. Multiple things we are dealing with and achieve that. You can see unripe of 98%. Even if the color is kind of confusing, but our AI model can predict is very easily actually. We can find stem of it. We can find where is the stem, and this is kind of laser reduction. We can find like autonomous fruit collection robot in which they'll point out the stem and we can collect it. Shoot it and by collect it. That's what the process. That's not deal. But anyway, there are many international patents that we have, and even the provincial government has been accolade these things actually. And even in the healthcare, there would be some projects like how we can deal with helping the drivers of electronic vehicle. For example, I mentioned about autonomous driving in electronic vehicle. What if the drivers deals with the electronic vehicle, and how the sensors can be kept. This is about these things. So these kind of projects, it's not about just in words like AI can does in real-time world. Since I've been to many domain and working on the projects that AI can does in multiple domain, I'm very sure that if we can capitalize the need of the requirement and framing the requirement and configure the problem statement, we seek the help of AI. I think there is no problem in the world that is not answered by about that. This is I will like based on the to safeguard the drivers who has been traveling for long. For example, our truck drivers can be like driving for 2-3 days continuously, right? So like that, many people their tiredness while driving actually, while sleeping actually. This is like we just made it like drowsiness testing, right? This is very simple solution in which like when the eye is opening, we used to call it, which means the driver is not sleeping, right? And when the eye is closed, it's like he's sleeping actually. So how we detect is we just frame this thing. Then you can ask me like he is closed for more than 5 seconds, which means he's actually sleeping. You can ask me like, even how can you detect, like if you close his eyes, blinking eyes also is kind of closing, right? So how can you do these things? Which means if we predict, if our model can predict like his eye is closed more than 5 seconds or more than 3 seconds, that's upon us. Then he's actually sleeping. Or more than 10 seconds, he's actually sleeping. Blinking is just take a microsecond, right? Or maybe 1 second, right? So if blinking, we can like in this is an immediate curve. But if it is not blinking, I mean, if the driver is closing for more than 5 seconds, you can see this is like will go in the wave pattern will go in the downside. Actually, it won't go up. In that case, there will be an alarm will be happen in the truck opening. This is what facial coordinates. These kind of technologies, these kind of things will measure through the images, measure through the sensory data, and then we'll put into the AI model, and AI will allow someone is sleeping. The same thing will goes to the sustainable development in any products. We can screencast the need in advancement in cluster development, and we can put AI into that. That's what the feeling that I want to give through the small presentation. This is the practical videos, but unfortunately I can play it like how this testing has been happened. This is maybe it's a big video. I don't want to write to the team later. Maybe you can play it later. So the point is like to convey the point how even from the non-AI background, someone using AI for the problem what we are facing in any kind of technology. Here the conference is about dealing with the advancement of sustainable development and with the renewable technologies, right? In that case, whatever the problem statement that the team is facing, or the research background people are facing, if you can just incorporate a help of AI, there is definitely solution to AI. That's what I want try to convey. No matter, again I'm telling, no matter about the background, you don't need to know even one line of code before you start. But when you start getting started, that's how magic will happen through AI. So that's why the secret of getting ahead is getting started. That's what very important. Thanks for the time. Thanks for Joe sir. I think I'm so much rushing, like within the time. I think if you have any doubts, please get to me through the email, specified email, and we can discuss on the same. So apply AI in whatever problems you are facing in real time technologies. That's it. Thank you.
போங்க மேடம் டக்குன்னு போங்க முடிஞ்சுது சர்டிஃபிகேட் எத்தனை பேர் பண்ணுறது ஆமாம் ஆமாம் சப்ஜெக்டில் எத்தனை பேர் பண்ணுறது
Thank you all. The inaugural ceremony ends with this keynote session, and participants are requested to join at 2 p.m. in their respective links given. The links are sent to your mail ID sharply at 2 p.m. Please connect through the links already shared in your mail. If it is this link, you can also join in this link. Others can leave. We'll join shortly after 2 o'clock, okay, 2 p.m. So I request all of you to leave, and we'll join again at 2 p.m. Thank you all. Thank you once again.